Yeah. Thank you, viewers, and thank you, Richard.
There is a misunderstanding. There's kind of like a question out there. I'll read it to you, but kind of like a misunderstanding. If life is just happening, then it doesn't really matter what I do. It's kind of like a hypothesis, which is always a mental hypothesis. But someone says, okay, if life is just moving by itself, then even if I shoot myself, what's the difference? But of course, you wouldn't shoot yourself because moving by itself, that's an idea. But I don't know what you say to that. That's how I look at it. But that's
Well,
not what life would move by itself.
but the idea that um, it doesn't matter what I do, that I is the thing that is superimposed upon the watching of life moving by itself. And so that engagement with it doesn't matter what I do, that very thought, that I, the belief in that I, it's almost burdensome on top of that which moves itself. Do you know? In that way, there's a missing of it. Does that make sense? Not really.
Yeah, there's a missing of it. That's
Like,
what I'm saying. That's my feeling.
yeah,
You know.
yeah,
But I
there
mean,
is.
how can we point to that? Because it sounds like, well, nothing matters. So then anything that happens is okay. Everything that happens is okay. So now I'm gonna, or even just I'm gonna be a terrorist. Now I'm gonna shoot a lot of other people. But you won't because your conditioning is not to be a terrorist, and the one that is a terrorist has the condition, or the one is suicidal has the conditioning to shoot themselves, and I guess it's all right.
Yeah. Um, okay, on one level, what's going to happen is going to happen. What happens, happens. But to use Advaita for opting out, for denying responsibility, that person is going to get kicked in the butt. There's no question about it. Life will come up and bite them in the ass. That will happen. It won't last for long because if theories are being used in that way, it's going to go belly up. When grace starts pulling the energy of mind home, the pull, the desire for peace would never lead one to terrorism. It will lead one to want to meditate because or doing something that brings focusing on the breath or mindfulness or service or some practice that brings more, I don't know, mm, that has that taste of stillness and grace. That's kind of one of the attributes of grace, to have a magnetism towards that stillness. There comes less activity, and all the activity, like in Maggie's life, all the activity becomes too much because the pull towards stillness is underneath and the activity is at odds with it, only because her focus is on the activity. That's why. So focus itself shifts into the stillness rather than into the activity.
You're actually answering this question to perfection because he's saying, like, he's at a really ripe stage because he's just fed up with his mind. It's in the same thing like Maggie's activity. He's just fed up, and he says the only reason I would shoot myself is to still the mind. But there's another way, right?
Oh, totally. And there's no guarantee that will shoot that shooting oneself will
Still the mind.
stop. Not at all. There's no guarantee. How do you know? Is your mind your body? Is your mind in your body? Was the bundle of thoughts that became you, was that around before your body? Is that going to be there after your body? You're not your body.
It's, in other words, we're going to whip the body. The body's a whipping boy. We'll kill the body, and we should be focusing the mind.
Totally, because the body is just a lump of flesh,
Well, it's a willing servant. It's a beautiful horse.
It is totally, but the body doesn't.
It's got no faults.
The body. Yeah, the body isn't to blame, and the body isn't the mind. It might be a creation of the mind, but it's not the mind. So to go for losing the body in order to go for the mind, ain't gonna work. Ain't gonna work. The bundle of thoughts will seek resolution in another way. The surrender that often comes in an induced death, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The surrender of like, I want out of here. Get out of here without killing your body.
Yeah.
Do you know? The out of here is out of identification with thought. There's no guarantee that identification will stop once the heart stops ticking. There's no guarantee at all.
Once we were saying about this moment on the show, we were talking about this moment, and we were saying like the one place you can never get out of is right now. You can never get out of this. And so then we determined like, well, even when you die, we don't know if you ever get out of right now. You're still here.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
where else are you going to be? There's nowhere else to go, right?
There's no place else to go. No, there's no place else to go. But you are actually not in here. That's the belief that is believed into an experience. So there's a capacity to experience that one is having a life. Peel back from the experience of having a life. Some aspect believes that you are an individual. Problem. Source of suffering. The individual has the capacity to suffer. What you are doesn't. Not involved in this. But it's not a case of not believing that creation exists. It has an appearance. Go for, do you exist? Go for that. Do you exist? Answer that question. Or are there just feelings of torturous mind running through consciousness? It's not running through you. Don't make the thoughts yours. They're not yours. Let them pass by. And they will pass by. But if you make them yours, they'll hang around for a lot longer. Because they're getting fed. There's an energy moving from awareness into this bundle of thought.
What do you mean? You're saying
your
they're getting space? Because he's saying, like, I hate my criticism, but I love my sense of humor, and I have a desire for enlightenment. But in a way, all of those are believed.
Yeah. The likes and the dislikes, stop running them. Because it's only an idea that's running those ideas. There's beliefs on top of beliefs, and this is why it's kind of complex. And that's why it's advocated to observe, come back to the position of benign observer, where it's like, okay, it is seen that there's a preference for this and there isn't a preference for this. Don't like the criticism, but I like my sense of humor. There's dislikes going on. Don't run the likes and dislikes. They're passing through consciousness. Don't attach to any of it. Don't attach to any of it. Let it pass by. It is not what you are. Don't make it yours. You're not that. Don't run the preferences. It only consolidates the idea that you exist. And that's not the truth. You don't, actually. There's no personal you. So to hang on to the nice bits and to criticize yourself for the bits you don't like, throw it all out. Throw it all out. That's head stuff. Don't give that much energy to thoughts. Don't let them be yours. Don't let them be believed. You're not that. Let it all pass through without any attachment to it. So for sure, what will happen? Your self-image is going to get destroyed. Life will become simpler, slower. Let these things happen. It's okay. Let these things happen. Why not? See what happens. You cannot lose anything except a false idea that you are an individual. That will be lost with great relief and ease. And life will happen anyway. It's fine.